Good morning. It is Wednesday, April 1st, 2026. This is your deep dive daily briefing. I am your anchor, delivering a comprehensive analysis of the pivotal events that have defined the last 12 hours. We begin our broadcast on the world stage, where the strategic landscape of the Middle East has entered a dangerous new phase as we cross into the 1st of April. Overnight, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard issued a formal declaration that it will begin targeting the regional assets of United States technology firms, citing their role in providing infrastructure and intelligence to allied forces. This follows a heavy wave of airstrikes yesterday that reportedly damaged a significant religious site in northwestern Iran, an event that has further inflamed regional tensions. On the diplomatic front, a joint initiative was launched by Pakistan and China in an attempt to mediate between the United States and Iran to prevent a total regional conflagration. Despite these efforts, the humanitarian crisis continues to expand, with the United Nations reporting that over 1.2 million people are now displaced in Lebanon alone, while hundreds of thousands of households across Iran have been forced to flee as the front lines of the conflict shift.
Transitioning from the front lines of conflict to the broader global economy, the narrative is being driven by the visceral impact of what the International Monetary Fund calls an age of divergent forces. In its latest update, the IMF has maintained a global growth projection of 3.3% for 2026, but this resilience is increasingly uneven. While technology investment and private sector adaptability are providing a vital cushion, the escalation of geopolitical tensions in the Persian Gulf represents the primary downside risk to the global outlook. Many nations are now grappling with the friction of new trade surcharges, including a 25% tariff implemented by the United States on goods from countries engaged in trade with Iran. This protectionist shift is forcing a massive front-loading of imports and a structural rethink of global supply chains as manufacturers attempt to navigate a landscape defined by both rapid technological transformation and intensifying geopolitical competition.
In the realm of finance, all eyes are on the credit markets as they process the implications of a prolonged wartime economy and a historic shift in the banking sector. We are officially entering the agentic era of finance, where major institutions like Goldman Sachs and Lloyds Banking Group have begun the enterprise-wide deployment of autonomous AI systems. These agents are no longer just assisting staff, they are being granted transactional authority to settle trades and manage compliance under human oversight. Simultaneously, a massive migration is occurring in the credit markets, with private credit now reshaping a $41 trillion addressable market as traditional bank lending remains constrained. On Wall Street, however, the mood remains one of extreme caution. The 10-year United States Treasury yield touched an 8-month high of 4.44% this morning, reflecting deep investor anxiety over the mounting $315 trillion global debt burden and the long-term cost of sustained regional instability.
Turning our attention to the technology sector, the focus has shifted toward the high-stakes paradox of the semiconductor industry. While AI-driven demand is pushing revenues to unprecedented levels, highlighted by Broadcom's recent reporting of a 106% surge in AI semiconductor revenue, the industry is facing a looming physical ceiling. By next year, AI data centers are projected to require an additional 92 gigawatts of electric power, a requirement that current grids are struggling to meet. This energy bottleneck is forcing a radical restructuring of the sector, with firms like Broadcom and NVIDIA facing valuation compression as investors rotate out of high-valuation names amidst broader economic questions. Furthermore, as we enter April, the industry is bracing for projected 50% price spikes in essential components like memory, as severe shortages begin to redraw the global supply chain map in favor of localized production hubs in North America and Europe.
Finally, we look at the logistics and supply chain networks that serve as the vital arteries of global commerce, which are currently undergoing a permanent structural rewiring. The Strait of Hormuz remains effectively closed to commercial traffic, with the International Maritime Organization reporting that over 20,000 seafarers are currently stranded or impacted by the blockade. This has forced every major ocean carrier to adopt the Cape of Good Hope as their default route, adding roughly 12 days to transit times and increasing fuel surcharges by an average of $235 per container. In response, 72% of trade professionals have now officially moved away from the lean, just-in-time models of the last decade toward a just-in-case strategy that prioritizes regional inventory buffers. This shift represents a permanent tax on global trade, as shippers increasingly rely on air freight for critical components, leading to record cargo demand despite the 5.9% climb in jet fuel prices recorded this morning. That concludes our global briefing for today. Thank you for joining us.